So we'll take more questions as we meet physically and understand each other. So the crux of the matter, the main topic, shall be doing. We spend almost an hour plus here. That's the topic transcription. Transcription, which is actually sight reading. Transcription is, being able to write, convert the musical notes into tonic software to facilitate sight singing. That's to enable singing. So, what happens in the choir generally is the choir master, ahead of the choir rehearsal, would have transcribed the notes into tonic software. So, instead of singing A, B, C, A, B, C, A, E, C, C, D, F, or C, F, G, C, F, G. You can see I'm even making mistake. But rather, I would have sang do, re, mi, do, re, mi, do, mi, va, so, mi, va, so. So that's singing this song in tonic software. It's is convenient and easier than if I were to sing it in the letter sound. I'll say A, B, C sharp, A, B, C sharp, A. I mean, it's it's confusing. Okay, so what we do as musicians to facilitate singing, to make singing easier, and for the choristers to learn easier or faster, the score, the musical score, that's the song sheet, is transcribed into tonic software, so that the singing can be learned, using tonic software. So that's relevant to everybody. It's applicable to singing. Or well, the instrumentalists really do not, play tonic softwares on piano. Actually, the instrumentalists play letter sound. But then, in contemporary singing, a lot of reference is made to tonic softwares, even for the instrumentalist. For the pianist, you see the pianist talking of I'm playing do, I'm playing re on the piano, whereas normally in the normal sense, he's not playing do re on the piano. What is actually playing on the piano is A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So instrumentalists play letter sound, but to facilitate singing, to make singing easier, convenient, faster to learn, the tonic software was invented. Okay, so the musical score is, initially transcribed into tonic software to enable the singer to sing better. So before we go further, we can just do a recap of all what we've learned so far, because we're going to apply all the knowledge, everything we've learned so far. We're going to apply it in the transcription, that's in chapter 7. So we'll quickly go to the first chapter of the book. Fikayo, I can't find the mouse anymore. Okay, so a quick recap of what has been taught so far. We learned about note values, and we understand that melody is a combination of sounds of varying lengths. So we broke down a melody into pieces, into different sounds, and we discovered that each sound may have, so a melody rather may have different sounds. Of course, each sound can be 1 count, or 2 counts, or 3 counts, or 4 counts, depending on how it goes. So this table was used to describe the musical notes and their values. We discovered that, or we learned rather, that the semi-brief, which looks this way, a round over note, is used to represent 4 count notes. It's actually a 4 count note. So a sound that is 4 counts in duration will be represented or be described with semi-brief. While the minim, which is a round note with a stem, has 2 counts. The crotchet, a black note with a stem, has 1 count. The quiver, this way it looks, black note with a stem and a hook, has half count. The semi-quiver, black note with a stem and 2 hooks, have got 1/4 count. And then the semi-quiver, black note with a stem and 3 hooks, have got 1/8 counts. And of course, we talk about the dotted note, which is, the dot adding additional half of its initial value to it. So a dotted crotchet will have one count plus half of one, which is 1.5 counts. A dotted median will have 3/4 counts, and a dotted semi-brief will have 6 counts. Musical notation, like we learned, is the method by which sounds are shown on paper. Is the method by which sound is shown on paper, and there are 7 letters that are used to represent the 7 distinct sounds in music. So we have letter sound A, letter sound B, letter sound C, D, E, F, and G. All the singing is a permutation and combination of these 7 letter sounds, just mixed up together, repeated here and there, juxtaposed, joined together, all that. That's all the singing. It's just 7 sounds that make up all our singing here on earth, and these are the 7 sounds. And we write this sound on on something called the stave. Where the stave is an arrangement of 4 lines and 5 spaces. Rather, 5 lines and 4 spaces. The stave is a horizontal arrangement of 5 lines and 4 spaces. The line 1 being the lowest line. So this is the line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, as well as the space 1, space 2, space 3, space 4. The stave is meaningless until we insert a clef. And then the clef, there are 2 types, as we learned, the treble clef and the bass clef. That's for singing. For singing and the pianist, you make use of the treble clef and the bass clef. Okay. Okay, so the presence of the treble clef on the stave makes it the treble stave. This clef is what makes this stave a treble stave. And when we have the treble stave, the line 1 is called E. That's the name of line 1. The name of line 2 is G. The name of line 3 is B. Line 4 is D and F. So for some of us who have a bit of music knowledge, you remember the memory aid for lines. It says every good boy deserves favor, which means line 1 is E, every. Line 2 is good, that's G. Line 3 is B, which is boy. Line 4 is D, deserves. And line 5 is favor, which is F. So if I ask you what is line 3 of the treble stave, just recite every good boy, that's B. Line 4 of the treble stave, every good boy deserves, D. And then for the space, favor always come easy. So line 4, space 4 is favor always come easy, that's E. Okay? And then with the bass clef written on the stave, that stave is called the bass stave. The bass clef written on the stave is called the bass stave. The line 1 now becomes G and no longer E. So the line 1 is called G. And then the memory aid for the bass stave is good boy deserves favor always. Good boy deserves favor always. So if I ask you what's the line 2 of the bass stave, just say good boy. That is B. Okay? And what's the line 4 of the bass stave is good boy deserves. What is the space 4? Space 4 of the bass stave. All cows eat grass. That's G. Okay? For the singer and for the pianist, the 2 staves are combined together. That is the treble stave and the bass stave. to produce what is called a great stave. So looking at this, you find out that the bass stave, this note G, is the lowest note amongst all these letters as written here. So G is on line 1. Immediately after line 1 is the space, which is A, and then line 2 is B, the space 2 is C, line 3 is D, space 3 is E, line 4 is F, space 4 is G, line 5 is A. There is no mathematical formula for getting this. That is what has been fixed. It's been fixed that way, so you cram it, you get used to it. Okay, you don't need a formula to find out why it is that way. And then for the treble stave, the line 1 is G, line 2 is F, or rather space 2 is F, line 3 is G, line 2 is G, space 2 is A, line 3 is B, space 3 is C, line 4 is D, space 4 is E, and line 5 is F. So for a complete scenario, okay, we could have okay, I think this let's use this one, which is a little clearer, or the other one rather. This may not look too clear, but let's just draw some insight here. This is a 7-octave piano, and we can see that the lines and spaces, the piano itself has 50 white keys. This 7-octave keyboard has 50 white keys, whereas the stave can only carry 5 plus 4, 9 times 2, 18, just about 18 sounds. The stave can carry only 18 sounds. It's only 18 sounds that can be written with the stave. So the other sounds that are not in the stave, we use the ledger lines to represent them. So you can see ledger lines, written below the stave. Ledger line 1, ledger line 2, and so on. And you come here, you see ledger lines written above the stave. These ledger lines written above below the stave. So they are used to pitch all sounds that are not, contained. The topic on music timing just describes more of textures, the actions, and then we have the bars, we have the things. You may need back to read up or listen to the video to understand the time signals. Binds as the vertical lines, or across the stave that are used to set the time of the music. So in a 4-count time, for example, a 4-count time is doom, ke, 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 doom, ke, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. For those who played brigade band, they call it quick time. It's called quick time, but the term is 4-count time. A 4-count time, the accent occurs first in every beat. Doom, ke, 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 doom, ke, ke, ke. So a lot of songs, are in the 4-count time. Okay. So the bar lines are what is used to indicate where the accent occurs. It occurs, just after the bar line. And then a bar itself is the compartment between 2 bar lines, which is a measure of the time signature of the music. So in a 4-count time, each bar will contain 4 counts. In a 3-count time, each bar will contain 3 counts. And in a 2-count time, each bar will contain 2 counts. And then talking of a 3-count time, we have the accent occurring once or first in every 3 beats. Doom, ke, doom, ke, doom, ke, doom, ke. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So in the brigade band, it's called slow march. Doom, ke, doom, ke, doom, ke, doom, ke. So that is 3-count time. And we have a couple of songs that follow that timing, like Faith of Our Fathers. Faith of Our Fathers. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. To God be the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So that's a 3-count time. Musical notation for 2-count time has been stated here, where the bar, in each bar there are 2 counts. Okay, and an example is there's also a form of quick march or disco. Doom, ke, doom, ke, doom, ke, doom, ke. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's a 2-count time. Of course, songs like Joy to the World. Joy to the world. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So the accent occurs first in every 2 counts. Okay, talking of the unit beat, we just need to understand that even though the crotchet is a 1-count note, there are some scenarios where the crotchet may not be the 1-count note. It could be the minim, it could be the quiver. So it becomes a relative matter. For example, if the quiver is the 1-count note, the crotchet will have 2 counts. That's the meaning. And talking of tempo, which is the speed of music, okay, a tempo of 120 means 120 beats per minute. And a tempo of 144 means 144 beats per minute. So there are electronic devices that are used to measure tempo. And you can also find that in your piano. So you don't need to mentally do that. You find that in your piano. Time signature has to do with getting to know when the music itself is a 2/4 count or a 2-count music, or whether it's a 3-count music or a 4-count music. Like I said earlier on, these are things we've been practicing over the years, over the time. So we know how to apply it. We know the application. It's a theory behind the application that we are learning. Okay? So when the music is 2/4, that means 2 crotchet counts in a bar. When it is 3/4, it is 3 crotchet counts in a bar. And then 4/4 is 4 crotchet counts in a bar. These are into the simple time and the compound time. Okay. So back to the topic of the scale. What we should just get to know about the scale is that there are two types of scale we use more often. There are 2 types of scales we use more often in our day-to-day singing. Okay, and that is the major scale and the minor scale. Simply put it, the major scale is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. That is the major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And of course, a tone is 2 semitones. Okay, while the semitone is the shortest distance on the musical scale. It's the shortest distance. It's actually a distance between C and C sharp, or between D and D sharp. And then, talking of key signatures also have to do with getting to know which key the music is. Because with the key in mind, we can all sing in unison and sing, in harmony, and blend. The singing will blend, will sound correctly. But if everybody just starts singing, it will be like where barbarians are talking. So normally in church, when they say let's rise to sing opening hymn, him maybe SDH 1. Okay, SDH number 1, and then the song leader comes up. He sings the first line of the first melody of the song. Praise to the Lord, the Almighty, the King of creation. So what has just happened is that the singer has cued in the song leader rather has cued in the singing. So everybody sings at that pace, at that pitch. But assuming nobody comes down, just let's sing him one. Everybody just starts singing. You realize that it will be rowdy. So the key signature has been pegged, has been put there as a guide for the singers and the instrumentalists, so that the singing can be done in unison properly. Okay. And we got to know that when it's just one sharp, it's key G major, which means the do of that song is G. Okay, and then when there are two sharps, the do is D, and so on and so forth. The same thing applies that when it's one flat. Okay, when it's one flat, the do of that song is what? F major, and when it's two flat, it's B flat major. So what are the steps to transcription? We are back to the topic, transcription. What are the steps to transcription? Identify the clef and the stave. That is the first step. Identify the clef and stave. The second step is identify the key signature, and the third step is identify the time signature. So let's start with identifying the clef and stave. Is it a treble clef or is it a bass clef? Is it a treble stave or a bass stave? What is the reason for this? Because the names of the lines and spaces are different. If it is a treble stave, the line 1 is what? E. Line 2 is G. Line 3 is B, and so on. And the space is F, A, C, E. But then if it's a bass stave, the lines have changed to G, B, D, F, A, and the spaces are A, C, E, G. For example, if you look at this great stave, these are the letter names of these notes. You can see that the first note here, which the cursor is pointed at, is on line 2 of the treble stave. So the name is what? G. That's the letter name of this sound. What that means is that if you want to play this sound, you go to the piano and locate the key note called G. You locate the key note called G. That is where you should play a sound you see on the second line of the treble stave. You play it on a key note called G. In the practical class, there will be a melody playing training or tutorial on melody playing on piano tutorial. So with that, we're going to show you where you can find each of these notes on the piano. You have this note here, this second note is actually above line 5. It's on top of line 5. And if we read the lines and spaces, you find that the name is G. Take note, the line 1 is, if you remember, line 1 here is E. This line 2 is F, G. The line 3 you can see here is B. The line 4 is D. Line 5 is F. So this note is going to be G because it's just above line 5. Okay, it's just above line 5. All this is possible because this is treble stave. Talking of bass stave, you'll discover that what was the line 4 here on the treble stave is actually F on the bass stave. The line 4 of the bass stave is F. What we have as space 3 on the treble stave, which is C, is actually E. Is E on the bass stave. So that's why you need to identify the stave, because with that you know the letter sound of each of the lines and spaces. So after you've identified the stave and the clef, the next step is to identify the key signature. Okay, identify the key signature. Why? The key signature fixes the tonic on a specific position on the stave. Okay, the key signature pitches, maybe in place of fix you say pitch, pitches the tonic, that's the do sound, on a specific position on the stave. So referring to the piece below, we record that the key signature with 3 sharps is key A major. Because you can find these 3 sharps here, this music is key A major. When the key of the music is A major, then it implies the tonic, the do sound, is A. It implies the tonic, the do sound, is A. And where can you find A on the treble stave? You can find A on the second space of the treble stave. Remember the names of the lines and spaces of the treble stave. The line 1 is E, the space 1 is F, the line 2 is G, and the space 2 is A. So where you have A on the treble stave, that's where you can transcribe as do. That's the do sound on the treble stave. This is example you have on your screen. The key signature is A major. The key signature is A major. So because it's A major, find where you have A, the letter sound A, on the stave. Where do we have A on the stave? If you go through the lecture video, or you check with your textbook, in case you have the textbook, and by the way, it's advisable we all have this textbook. If you don't have it, we said earlier on, get in touch with your choir leader who will help you make arrangements to get one. Or you come to the conference music department office. The books are there. You get a copy for the price that will be given to you. So if you check through the book or check through the video, you discover that the letter sound A is pitched on space 2 of the treble stave. So that position, that place where the A sound is found, that is where you transcribe as the do sound. Because what the key signatures do is that they pitch the tonic, which is the do sound, on a specific position on the stave. And in the case of key A major, the do sound has been pitched on space 2 of the treble stave and space 1 of bass stave. These are the 2 places where you find key A. So if A is on space 2, and that is the do sound, you read upward the stave you read, and then the line 2 or line 3 rather, which is just a little above the do sound, the space 1, space 2, will be transcribed as a re. Okay, so when you have do on space 1, re will be found on line 3, and then mi is found on space 3. Continuously, F is found on line 4. Okay, so that's va rather, not F. Va is found on line 4. So is found on space 4. La is on line 5. T is on, above the line. And then you have a do on a ledger line, a higher do. Okay. Still on the same matter, where you have A on space 2. Okay, and then that space 2 is actually the do sound. If you read the scale downward, you have to sing the scale. If you read the stave downward, you have to sing the scale downward. So reading the stave downward will give you line 2, which is just below space 2 as the T sound. And then line or space 1 is the La sound. Line 1 is the Sol sound. Just below the line is the Va sound. On the ledger line, this is actually the middle C, is the Mi sound. Okay, just below the ledger line is Re sound, and 2 ledger lines below is the Do sound. So this is all that matters in transcription. Just find where the Do sound is, and then read your scale, read the stave up and down in relation to the other tonics so far. So this stave rather is a typical musical piece in what key? 3 sharps, key A major. So if as a choir master I want to transcribe this piece for my choir to sing, okay, I want to transcribe it for my choir to sing. So the first thing I do, I take note of the clef. This is treble clef, therefore this is treble stave. Quickly I check, this is key A major. We'll come to this one, the timing is 4/4. We'll come to this shortly. So key A major, which means the Do sound is found on space 2. Do sound is found where? On space 2. Like you have this one, this is Do sound. So what is the tonic surfer for this sound? This sound is on space 3. What's its tonic surfer? So I'll read the stave up because this is above where the Do sound is. So the space 2 is Do. The line 3 is Re. So this note is going to be Mi because it's on space 3. So I'll transcribe this as Mi, so I write Mi here. How did I do it? I read the lines and spaces. Do, Re, Mi. So this is Mi. How do I get this one as Sol? The space 2 is Do. So I read lines and spaces. Do, Re, Mi, Va, Sol. I think we can make this a little bigger. I think you can zoom your. You can zoom it to be zoom your view, so you can see where the cursor is pointing. Right now, the cursor is pointing inside the space. Inside space 2. And this note is resting on is in space 2, so which is already the Do sound. Okay. This one is on line 4. Since I did this as Sol, why not just go backward a bit to get the Va sound? So since this is Sol, the space 4 is Sol, I can just read backward a bit to the Va sound. Or I can start from the space 2 again and read upward. Do, Re, Mi, Va. So this is the Va sound. Okay, we're still going up. So Va, the space Sol, this is La. So at the beginning stage, you have to be a bit, slow, sluggish, painstakingly. It's a painstaking process where you have to be reading, counting lines and spaces, one after the other. You have to count lines and spaces one after the other. And then when you do that, you're able to get the tonic surfer of each note. So once you have gotten it, you can safely sing it. Mi, Sol, Do, Va, La, Sol, Va, Mi, Re, Ti, La, Sol, Va, Mi, Sol, Re, Ti, Do. Mi, Sol, Do, Va, La, Sol, Va, Mi, Re, Ti, La, Sol, Va, Mi, Sol, Re, Ti, Do. Okay. Learning to sing what has been transcribed is another coursework called sight singing. Learning to sing a transcribed piece, because it's one thing to transcribe, get it accurately, but it's another thing to sing the notes, the sound correctly. Of course, some people can do it already. Our choir masters, our choir leaders, most really can do it. That's why they teach you song. They're able to teach us the songs because they can do it. Then a chorister can also learn to do it by undergoing the second course work called sight singing, where several exercises are being introduced. We can use it. So it's not covered here. It's covered under coursework. Going to the bass stave, it's still key A major, and then where is A major? Where is the A sound? You find out that the A sound is not on space 2, as in the case of the treble stave. It's on space 1. It's on space 1. So to find out the tonic surfer of this sound, of this musical note, I have to go through the trouble of reading, counting from space 1 up to line 4. So space 1 is do, line 2 is re, space 2 is mi, line 3 is va, space 3 is so, and then line 4 is la. So that's how this note is transcribed, la. You go through the same trouble or the same effort. Let's call it effort. So you go through the same effort of counting from space 1, and then you count up and you arrive at so here. You count up, you arrive at mi. Okay? And so on. So if you want to sing this, for example, that would be la, so, mi, re, do, ti, do, va, va, so, do, re, te, so, do. La, so, mi, re, do, ti, do, va, va, so, do, re, ti, so, do. It's not a sweet melody, Abby. And we're just using it to study. Yes. So you see, to produce the right melody is the composition. What we just sang now in the two cases, they're not constructive melodies. It's not a well properly constructed melody. But really, if you want to compose a music, for those who have talent of composition, what they actually have is the ability to construct an acceptable, appealing melody. That's why they have the talent of composition. We discussed somewhere that the expression of your music talent varies. Okay? The expression of the music talent varies. For some people, it is play musical instruments. For some, it is singing. For some, it is composition. Some, it is music administration. Some, it is music events planning. But we are all musically talented. So for those who can compose music, they have that knack, that ability to produce appealing melodies. Okay. Now this same back to what we are doing, same score. Okay, musical score. Okay, which is in A major. This set of notes have been transcribed thus. Now, just change the key. Change this key now. Instead of A major, change it to F major. The tonic surfers will change. The tonic surfers will change immediately. It's because this is A major. That's why this note is transcribed mi. Mi, so, do, va, la, so, va, mi. Because it's A major. If you check the same exact musical score, but it's F major. The same thing, the same set of notes. Because it's F major, the transcription has changed. Why has it changed? Because the F major, the tonic is now on space 1 for the treble stave. In the case of A major, the tonic was on space 2. But now for F major, the tonic is now on space 1. So that becomes do, re, mi, fa, sol. So this instead of this note that was formerly mi is now sol. So it now becomes sol, ti, mi, la, do, te, la, sol, va, re, do, te, la, sol, ti, re, va, mi. Sol, ti, mi, la, do, te, la, sol, va, re, do, te, la, sol, ti, re, ti, va, re, mi. Okay? And then exactly the same set of notes we used in A major. Now the key has changed to be F major. The do sound is no longer found on line 1 on space 1. It's now below line 1 or on line 4. So using the line 4 as a do, because that's where you find F, becomes do, te, sol, va, mi, re, mi, la, te, mi, va, re, ti, mi. Okay, so the same thing here, the same notes, and they are same pitches, but the tonic software has changed. Okay. So furthermore on transcription, I would like you to pause the music here and then take time to regurgitate what has been explained so far. You need to personally count the lines and spaces on your own right now. Spend that time to count the lines and spaces in the event in the scenario where the key is A major or where the key is F major. Count it and be sure that what was transcribed on the score is correct. If you are confused or it's not clear to you, you need to talk to your choir master to guide you further on it. You need to talk to your choir master to guide you so that he can explain to you the reason why that note is mi, or why it is do, or why it is re, and so on. Why it is transcribed thus. Also, at the general class, you can also ask a question, and then you can also engage the facilitators, the trainers, individually, and ask questions directly to them. But your first line of call should be your choir master, especially when you're sure your choir master transcribes music. He'll be able to explain better to you. Okay, so let's go further on transcription. There are event cases where when the music is B flat major, for example. Of course, you can see it's B flat major when we have two flats written. So of course, that means that the do sound is found on line 3 of the treble stave, and line 2 of the bass stave. So the transcription goes thus this way. You need to count. Now, in this case, line 3 is up here, while the note you want to transcribe is below the line. That means you count downward, you count backward or downward. We have do on line 3, ti on space 2, la on line 2, and then sol on space 1. Okay, and this is a typical way of writing the hymnal, the written, where the treble and the soprano, the alto part is written on the treble stave, while the tenor and bass part is written on the bass stave. So this crotchet carries two heads. The first head, the upper head, is for the soprano part, while the lower head is for the alto part. So you transcribe the first head as sol, then you count downward again till you get to mi, and you transcribe the lower head as mi. So in a four-part music, the soprano part is the upper sulfur notes written just above the treble stave, while the alto parts are the lower sulfur notes written below the treble stave. We have the tenor part as the upper notes written above the bass stave, and we have the bass part as lower notes written below the bass stave. So this is a basic way of writing or of transcribing a 4-part music. Furthermore, on transcription, the concept of accidental signs come in. Accidental signs are the sharp, the flat, and natural signs that occur in the musical score but are not originally found in the key signature of the music. There are 3 principles guiding the transcription of accidental signs. Okay, what we are saying is, okay, you'll see that later. An example is what we find here. This is a key C major. This music is key C major. You can't see any sharp or flat. Okay, and this key C major, of course, is a neutral key. So these sharp signs you're seeing here, and the flat signs you're seeing here, and the natural signs you're seeing here, these are called accidental signs. Musically, they are called accidental signs. For the contemporary musician, these are the signs that are used to describe the half notes. If you remember the half notes under the scale, those Z, V, To, Mo, those notes are what accidental signs are used to transcribe or to indicate those notes. So what's the principle guiding the transcription of accidental signs? The first principle is that an accidental sign alters the pitch of the notes it is placed directly on. So if you place a note, you place an accidental sign on this note, instead of transcribing it as saw, because it's a sharp sign, it becomes Z, a sharpened saw. Okay, that's the case 1 here. Case 1 is explained. The note is Z because of the accidental sharp sign. That's the principle 1. The third principle says the effect of the accidental sign does not exceed the bar it is found in. And while the second principle says the accidental sign affects subsequent notes of the same pitch within the same bar. So the case 2 you have here, you transcribe it as saw because the accidental sign does not exceed the bar, the effect of the accidental sign. So even though this one has been called Z, is transcribed as Z, this one will not be transcribed as Z because they're not within the same bar. Remember, this is a bar line. So this is bar 1, everything here is bar 2, bar 3, bar 4, bar 5, bar 6. So they're not within the same bar. So that's why it's transcribed saw. This note is V because of the first principle, because of the accidental sign. Then this is also transcribed V. There is no sharp here, but the principle 2 says that accidental sign affects subsequent notes of the same pitch within the same bar. So these 2 notes are within the same pitch, so this accidental sign will also affect it. Okay, so when you go to bar 3, this is T as transcribed, but this is To because of the flat sign. Okay, this will not affect this one, even though this affects this one. And the reason is because the flat sign did not come before it. The flat sign did not come before it, it came after it. So it only affects this. The same thing applies here. It only affects this. The accidental sign D is not going to affect this because this is a natural sign that is used to restore that note to its original pitch. So in the sharp basis keys, naturalizing the sharpened notes is like flattening them. Okay, so this is the bass stave and it's D major. So the tonic is that's the do sound is found on line 3. It's found on line 3. So it's found on line 3, and then you have this note as mi, and then these two are flattened. It's a natural sign. You know, you recall that in D major, F is sharpened. What you have as the mi sound is not F, it's F sharp. So F sharp normally is the mi sound in D major, but with the natural sign, the note becomes F natural, which is lower in pitch than F sharp, thereby causing a flattening effect. So this note with the natural sign is transcribed more, okay, because it's flattened. The same thing applies here. C is sharpened in D major, so this becomes to because of the natural sign. And then to get the original T sound, you sharpen it back. Okay, so there is more scenario here. So the saw, the saw here is transcribed. That's in case 8. The saw is transcribed there as it serves as a reminder that you know, given that this has been transcribed as Z, and this one too is Z, because they're within the same bar, Z. But then this one is not within the same bar with it, so it's saw. But as a reminder, just to make you remember, we put a natural sign there so you remember. So in the flat basis keys, as of course, the natural sign will have a sharpening effect. Okay, to have a sharpening effect. And this is treble clef, treble stave, and then this is key A flat major, 4 flats. So the do sound is found on space 2. So this is going to be called saw. And then this is a naturally flattened note, which gives a vowel sound, but with the sharp, it raises it up and gives it with the natural order, it becomes a V. So in bar 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This bar 5 is just a reminder that what you have naturalized there, you should flatten it back. Okay. So this is a sharp sign found here, of course. It's possible. And then in bar 9, this do does not affect these two because they're not of the same pitch. That the D sound there does not affect those two. So I also advise, as usual, that you should take a pause here. Go to the assignments given in the lower. That should be on page so study this go to the assignments given on page this page. Okay, that's page 53, 54, 55, and see if you can get to transcribe those notes there. Get to transcribe them, you know, just putting the tonic surface. So once you're able to do that, you can now proceed safely. You can safely proceed to identifying the key signature, rather the time signature, which will now aid you in proper punctuations, properly punctuating the musical score. Okay, so remember the 4/4 time and the 3/4 time, which are the most common ones. So in the 4/4 time, we have this bar structure. Okay, from this bar line to this bar line contains 4 counts. And then that bar is split into 2 equal parts with a slant. So which means the content of everything here must be 2 counts, and the content here must be 2 counts. So this way you can visually see the 4 counts in each bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see the 4 counts each. So the bar space is further broken or divided into 1 count each using colons. So this is a typical 4 counts music. We use dots to represent half counts. We use comma to represent quarter counts. And then dashes are used to represent sounds that are longer than 1 count. A 3/4 time looks this way, and a 2 count time looks this way. So study these transcriptions carefully and make meaningful deductions. So using a monotone scale, or a monotone stave rather, just a stave with 1 line. Now, assuming you've transcribed your music score, and then you've transcribed it as do re mi va do re mi va do re mi. If the musical note is a crotchet, this is how you transcribe it. A crotchet, because it's 1 count, you put a dot, you put a colon. Then the re is also 1 count. You put a slant, which is the end of count 2. The colon is the end of count 1, while the slant is the end of count 2. You now go to the next half of the bar. The colon is the end of count 1, and then the bar line is the end of count 4. The end of count 4. So we find out that between these 2 bar lines is the bar, and each bar has 4 counts because the time of the music is 4/4. Remember, this corrupt C sign is not fancy. It actually means 4 crochet beats in a bar. Check out this note. There's a meaning. You find out that it's transcribed with a colon and a dash, showing that it is 2 counts. The re is a crochet with 1 count, so that's why it's just a colon. The mi is a crochet with 1 count, that's just a colon. And so on. You still have a meaning here again. 1 note with a stretch, making indicating is 2 counts. The do here is 2 counts. Re here is 2 counts. And then this do you have here is 4 counts. It's a semi-breve. It's 4 counts. And you can see the 4 counts is written. The do sound, this colon, indicating the end of count 1. This slant / forward line, indicating the end of count 2. This dash with colon again, indicates the end of count 3. And then count 4 ends up. Continuing, in a quiver setting, use a dot to separate a quiver. Okay? Use a dot to separate a quiver. So a dot shows the end of half count. The end of half count. Please take note of what I've been saying. The punctuations indicate the end of the counts of the duration of sound. The punctuations do not represent the sounds. This colon is not for count 1 or for 1 count. It's for the end of 1 count. So a very good example is a situation like this, where we have 4 semiquavers in 1 count. 4 semiquavers in 1 count. This var is not 1 count because there's a colon there. No. Rather, these 4 sounds sum up to 1 count. They sum up to 1 count. That's why they are all contained within the colon. They are all contained within the double dots. Okay. This first note here, which is do, is followed by a comma, which shows the end of a quarter count. Then the re follows it indicating the end of a half count, the end of half count duration. What this tells us is that do and re share half counts because they are separated by a dot. They are ended rather by a dot. Do is quarter counts, re is quarter counts. Both of them sum up to half counts. Mi is a quarter count. That's why it ends with a comma. And va is a quarter count, but actually the end of count one. Okay, so these four notes, do, re, mi, va, they are all quavers. They are all quavers carrying quarter count each, all within count one of the, of the bar. Then you talk of these next two notes. You have so, do, separated by a dot. So which means that this one is a half count. The do is a half count, but this is the end of count two. So these 6 notes, these 6 sounds, all of them sum up to count 2 or 2 counts. They sum up to 2 counts. That's why they are all contained within the space bar or the bar space of 2 counts. So while the first 4 sum up to 1 count, the next 2 sum up to 1 count too. So that means the 6 notes sum up to 2 counts, but they have different duration. The first 4 are quarter counts each, while the last 2 are half counts each. The same scenario is repeated here, but with different tonic suffers. So 12 sounds sum up to 4 counts. Sum up to the 4 counts within the bar, or the 4 counts of the bar. You get to the next bar. This note is 2 full counts alone, and that's why the do stretches to the slant line. And then you have half count, 1 count, and you have a 4 count note which is semi-brief. In this case now, we're looking at dotted notes come into the picture here. And what we call anacrosis, anacrosic rhythm. We're just simply, when the first bar is not complete. It's supposed to be a 4 count music, but the first bar, this is a 4 count music. The first bar contains only 1 note. Okay, so this is anacrosis. But then when it comes to the second bar, you have a dotted crotchet. How do you describe a dotted crotchet? Okay, this is described thus. The dotted crotchet actually takes a full 1 count, which is the end of a colon, and takes half of the next 1 count. So that's why it is the do sound, the tonic suffer itself, a colon, a short dash, and the full stop, which ends the end of half counts. So do, re, mi, va, so, do, re, mi, va, so, do, re, mi, va, so. So in this case, the do sound here. Okay, this is supposed to be a dotted crotchet. Please take notes. So the do sound here is a dotted crotchet, but then it's followed by 2 semiquavers. That's why both of them are squeezed into the half count portion. This is bar 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this is bar 6. Bar 6 and 7 really. Bar 6, you have a dotted crotchet. It starts with a quiver, so it ends the half count. End of half count is indicated by a dot. Then this dotted crotchet now looks like it's 2 counts. Please don't be confused about this. It's not 2 counts because this ray is half of the first count, half of count 1. That's what is here. Why this is the full 1 count. So this is 1.5 counts. So the same thing repeats itself. Yeah, it almost repeats itself here, but it's a different scenario where this crotchet now looks like it is a dotted crotchet. You see, whereas it's a crotchet because it's complete one count, but then it's taking half of the first count and half of the second, so half of count 3 and half of count 4. So the two halves add up to form to give you the one count, So these are some little you know uh, 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 task or issues that you may come across when you're transcribing. Then the use of ties, of course. When you use ties join notes of the same pitch together. Okay, what that means is that you're not going to transcribe the next pitch. Rather, you just transcribe one and give it the duration of the two. So that's why this crotchet plus this quiver is 1.5 count, and so the do just transcribe 1.5 at once. And then this me here is actually half count plus quarter count, which is a 3/4 count. But then see that me here, it's taking the last quarter count in the count 2 bar space, and then it's taking the half count in the third count of the, of the third count of the bar space. Okay. So for compound time, or actually this is not compound time, it's still a simple time, but the first bar is also an anacrosis, 3 notes together, and then so it's just to study the various situations you might come across when transcribing music, especially the anthems, the oratorios. Of course, the hymns don't have this complexity, but the anthems and the oratorios might have some form of a complexity, which we may need to adjust to. Okay, so semiquavers can be transcribed without commas. Okay, especially when there are many. When there are a lot of semiquavers to transcribe, you can just be omitting the comma, so that the job, the notes, the score can be a bit neater. So you just use full stop to separate them, since they are all semiquavers. Okay, and then you come to explain this properly. You should be satisfied with whatever you have here. You should understand it. Okay, otherwise you ask questions. 3/4 timing, has been described already, where there are no slant lines. We don't have slant for forward/ lines in a 3-count music. Rather, what we have is 2 colons. Okay, but then the meaning is still transcribed as a note with a dash line. It's going into the second count or third count of the bar space. So it's just a difference in the the bar structure. Okay, the transcription is the same thing even for a 3-count music. Even when you have plenty of rest signs in your music, you still transcribe the same way. Only that the rest signs, they will be transcribed as empty spaces. So whenever there's a rest, that transcribed as empty spaces. And remember what rest signs are. It's just basically that singing is not, to add pattern, to add variation to singing. There are some syncopations that may take place in the singing. There are some off and on. Maybe the soprano and alto is singing, tenor and bass is waiting. Tenor, soprano, bass is singing, alto is waiting. So all those period of waiting, all those period of not singing, is what is described as rest. Okay, and so the rest signs are transcribed without writing anything in the spaces there, but the punctuations remain the same. In the 2-count time, there is just 1 colon between the bars. There's just 1 colon between the bars. And the concept of triplets coming. Triplets, of course, was explained under compound time. It's where 3 notes or 3 sounds are produced within 1 count and of equal spacing. So here we see that in bar 6, the time signature has changed to 2-2. When it has changed to 2-2, this, you see the way the meaning begins to be transcribed. Originally, the meaning would have been transcribed this way in a 2-4 count, where you have the suffer notation and a dash, which shows that it is 2 counts. But once the time of the music has changed to 2-2, 2-2 means 2 meaning beats in a bar. 2 meaning beats in a bar. And then the meaning becomes the unit beat. That's it becomes a 1 count note. Because the time signature indicates that the time is being measured using minims, not crotchets. So in this case, the meaning becomes a 1 count note. So a 1 count note is transcribed this way. So that's why it's important that you know what the time signature is. Because the 1 count note is transcribed this way, and minim in this case is the 1 count note. Okay, so it comes this way, and then the crotchets rather become half notes, and their duration is ended with the period sign or the full stop. Luckily, we are back to the 3-4 timing, and then the transcription continues. Compound time, this is where it's transcribed. Another example of compound time is a 12/8 time. A 12/8 time is not 12 quavers in a bar, as explained earlier on. It is 4 dotted crotchets in a bar. 4 dotted crotchets in a bar. Multi-sound syllables, okay, they are transcribed by using underlying tonic suffer notes. So, we are glad Jesus is born. Amen. Rejoice. Amen. Okay, you see the amen sound, the amen there, the A syllable has to be stretched. The way singing is done that way. So we use a line, to show that all those sounds belong to one syllable. Do, re, mi, fa, sol. Do, te, do, sol. La, sol, fa, mi, re, do, re, do. We're glad Jesus Christ is born. Amen. You see that? Amen. Because all those sounds go for one syllable. So we use a line, a line to underline all of them. That's how we transcribe it. We're glad Jesus Christ is born. Each sound there is for each of the lyrics, the wordings, the syllables. Where is for the do sound there is for where. The re sound there is for glad. The mi sound there is G. The re sound is Zos. Okay? The mi sound here is for Christ, and the va sound there is for is. The so sound there is for born. So we're glad Jesus Christ is born. But then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 sounds are for only Amen. Okay, so that's this for this. So Amen. Rejoice. Okay, rejoice. These are all semiquavers, and that's quarter counts each. Last of me, rejoice. Amen. Rejoice. Amen. Okay, so that's how that is done. So you can take a pause again and read through. So once you have done that, you can now look at this music score and transcribe everything. Follow it and be sure that it is properly transcribed. This is how a basic hymn or an anthem would be written, where the soprano is up, the alto and tenor are in between the stave, and the bass is just outside the stave. So go to the hymn now. This is about the last thing here. You can go to the hymn now, make a photocopy of the song "Oh Jesus, I Have Promised," SDH 331. I don't advise you transcribe into the music into your SDH hymn now. Rather, you should make a photocopy and then transcribe on the photocopy you have you know you have made. So if you've actually taken time to study through and consulted your choir leaders or your church instrumentalist, you realize that this music has been properly transcribed. So the song is, "Oh Jesus, I have promised to serve thee to the end," and so on. And that's actually the correct transcriptions. You find out that the first note there, "me," is actually the last note of a bar. So the bar is there, is indicated, and then this is a dotted meaning. You have it this way, or a dotted crotchet rather, and this is a quiver. The end of cant 2, you put a slant, and then and so on. There are examples. You can use exercises to practice. You can practice how to transcribe. Okay, use this one to practice how to transcribe. And then after that, you can go to the back page and find the answers. Go to the back page, okay, and find the answers to what you have transcribed. So a brief recap is that when you want to transcribe, you should have three things in mind. Have three things in mind. The first one is the clef and the stave which you are going to transcribe. If it's a treble clef, that means it's a treble stave you're dealing with. The line 1 is E, the line 2 is G, the line 3 is B, the line 4 is D, and the line 5 is F. It is sacrosanct. It is pegged in nature. There's no miracle for it. Okay? And then, once you've identified the stave, you quickly check at the commencement of the, just after the clef, you see the key signature. The key signature tells you where the do sound can be found on the stave. And of course, once you know where the do sound is, you can either read up the stave or read down the stave to get the other sounds of the tonic surface. So if the do sound is on line 3, which is B major, the re will be no other place than just the next, the next available space or column just above line 3, which is actually a space 3. So that's the re sound. And then the mi sound is is line 4. And the verse sound is space 4. Then after that, you now go through the efforts, not the trouble, the effort of putting the right punctuations, with respect to the time signature. So please read up continuously until you understand, and make sure you ask questions. Too much questions will not bog anybody down. So you can always call us and get more information and ask questions. So thank you for your attention. Once again, we want to say a very big thank you to we've come to the end actually. So I want to say a very big thank you to the Seventh-day Adventist Church Ogba and the multimedia team, Master Guy Fikaya Longe and Bro Solomon, who is managing from home. Okay, and we recognize our conference choir leader and associate music director, Elder Moses Okoji Ebiri. and other facilitators here, Bro Chisom Isaac, the music training and development coordinator for the Lagos Mainland Conference, and Bro Promise Ngozi, the deputy music training and development coordinator for the conference. Myself, I am Master Gadiel Kanachuku, the music director. We have our other conference choir leaders who have also thrown their weight behind what we are doing in full support. We have Elder Nigel from Herald Federation. We have Bro Emeka from Maryland Federation, and we have Bro Sylvester from Emerald Federation. These are the music leaders for these federations, and the several district choir leaders of I think about 13 districts, all in support of what we are doing. And so when you, after listening to the videos, lecture video, and reading the book, you can always approach any of them for further understanding, or you can also put a call through to the facilitators. May God bless us all as we walk in His vineyard. In Jesus' name, amen.